What's happening, Adventureland? I am back at my favorite rappelling spot here in Gwinnett County. 60-foot cliff. I'm going to show you some of my favorite tie-in points for ghost rappelling. I did a video called the macrame knot or the Himalayan braid, and it was cool, but it was so nerve-wracking rappelling off of that. Since then, I've done some more research, found some other ways that I think might be safer. Stay tuned to the end of the video and I'll show you my favorite one and why. Let me start by saying that this is not a how to tie knots video. So there'll be knots that I will mention, like the alpine butterfly or a figure 8 or a bowline. If you don't know how to tie those, look at my playlist. I probably have some of those too. So anyway, otherwise you can just YouTube them. But essentially, the goal of the video is to show you different setup methods so that you have options depending on where you're at, so that you can retrieve your line. The very first thing that you want to do is to determine which side you're going to be rappelling off of, okay? This is crucial because if you rappel off the wrong side, then you're dead. So make sure you determine which side. I've got this line over there tied to a tree. I know that's where I'll be going down, and now I'm going to set up the first of many. The first method is used when you don't have a rope that you can double over. So you have one rope that is just long enough for you to reach the bottom, and then you've got some accessory cord, 6 or 7 millimeter cord. So what I like to do is 1 or 2 knots, either a figure 8 or an alpine butterfly. So I'll start with a figure 8. It's the easiest way. You got your figure 8 and you have your tagline, your working end. You're going to go around the tree or whatever you're anchoring to, and then you can use something like a steel carabiner. Now, why a steel carabiner? Well, I really like the fact that it's steel. This is 40 kilonewtons. It's a fusion carabiner. You generally don't like to, or I generally don't like to load a carabiner side, but for what we're doing, which is not tree work, right? We're just rappelling down, should be able to handle my weight. And then I've got this tag end here that I would use accessory cord and attach it to it. So you rappel down this side, and when you get to the bottom, you simply pull it down to yourself. So the rope will come back around and then back down to you. Now, if you don't want to use a steel carabiner, that's okay. I have something else. This is called a notch quickie. It's from Notch, and it is meant specifically for side loading. It's fantastic, holds all the weight in the world, and then you pull this down to yourself. So this enables you to carry, I don't know, 100 feet of rappel line and then another 100 feet of just lighter accessory cord, and you can use that to bring it down to yourself. It's called long roping, and you want to be sure 2 things. On your rappel end, you're going to want to tie a stopper knot at the very end, right? So whatever you want to tie, overhand knot or figure 8 or whatever, you want to be sure you tie that to yourself. The reason is because when you get to the bottom, and if you're in a hurry and you pull this down to yourself, you will get the knot caught here, right? And you won't be able to retrieve your rope, and then you're toast. So tie your stopper knot at the end of your rappel line to your harness, and that way you don't make that mistake. So this works fantastic, and it is very, very strong. Now, what if you don't have a carabiner to spare? That's okay. You can always do something like tie an alpine butterfly, feed your rope through the loop, and cinch that down. This is an excellent knot to side loads. Arborists use it all the time for what's called SRT rigging. They draw that up to the tree branch, and that holds tight with no issues. You can also use a figure 8 here. Just remember to leave yourself enough tagline that you can connect your accessory cord to, and then you can pull this down to yourself. The only reason between that and a carabiner is this just easier to set up. It is a mechanical piece of equipment, so it has the opportunity to fail, but if you want to stay away from this or a notch quickie, you can just tie yourself an alpine butterfly or a figure 8, and that'll take care of it. The key here, though, with a figure 8 or alpine or farmer's knot, whatever you tie, you want to be sure that the loop is large. Also, that the loop doesn't constrict the rope. In other words, that the loop isn't twisted in such a way where the rope is having to bend the loop backwards. Make sure it's nice and loose before you go down, because this will be very difficult to get down if you're at the bottom and this is all bound up. I want to show you how to tie a figure 8 around a rope when you've already tossed your rope over, or you don't want to feed 100 feet of line through a loop. It's very easy. You start with tying a figure 8. Hey, if you're enjoying this, hit that like and subscribe button for me. I appreciate it. Okay, then you put your rope through, and you're just going to trace the circle through. Fantastic. Another optional setup too is if you want to throw a figure 8 in and connect your carabiner or whatever you're wanting to connect, you can always tie your accessory cord straight to the carabiner. So that was a fisherman's knot that you saw there. So now I've got my carabiner as my cam, and then my accessory cord I can just pull directly from the carabiner instead of having to pull from the tag end. If that's something you want to do, that's also an option. Next one, you're going to need a bit of rope and 2 carabiners. This is called a retrievable bowline. It's pretty cool. I will tell you, you pull that tag end and it's going to come undone, so you got to be mindful of where that end is. We're going to demo this with the understanding that this bit of rope should be the same length as what you're rappelling, so that you're able to pull from the first carabiner, and you'll see what I mean here in a minute. First thing we're going to do is we're going to tie a bowline. Now, a bowline is a really good knot, but I do want to warn you, it's not the greatest knot when you're trying to rappel, because this thing, if you load it and unload it over and over, it can have a tendency of coming apart, believe it or not. So don't always recommend this, but in some situations it works. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to clip your carabiner into this loop area right here. Okay, and this is going to be the first carabiner that has the longer tag end that goes down with you. The second one clips onto the loop. So the idea here is that when you rappel to the bottom and you get to the bottom, you would take this tag end that would be obviously with you, and you would pull. And what it does is it pulls that tag through the loop. So that's the first thing that occurs, right? Now, as you continue pulling, this pulls the knot apart. And essentially, it would come apart and you'd pull the rope down to yourself. That's a really cool way of getting it down. I'll do that for you one more time. You'd want to make sure that this tag end here wasn't, wrapped around or caught on something, because you want to be able to pull it through here, right? So this would go down with you. And your rope is down. There is another option for the carabiner side load if you don't want to use a figure 8 or an alpine butterfly, but I want you to know that I highly recommend both of those. But some people like to use a knot that will cinch down onto the carabiner, and that's called a fisherman's knot or a double fisherman's. But let me warn you, this knot is very, very dangerous. If you don't tie it correctly, you'll tie it on the wrong side. So as an example, this is the knot tied in correctly, because I think I'm safe. It looks good, right? and then I clip my carabiner on here, and I'm solid, rocking. Let's go around our tree, right? And it looks okay, but here's the issue. I'm not cinching down on anything. Look what'll happen if I pull this out. I'm pulling from this tag end. Now, if I put enough weight on this, kind of hard to do it with, there we go. You see how it's sliding through? And I think I'm good to go. And the knot comes undone, and then you plummet, and that's the end of the story. So when you're tying a double fisherman's, better be darn sure you got it right. See, my cinch side, right, is on the main rope, not on my tag. So now, I'm good to go. I can pull from my tag end, or I can pull from the carabiner. Either way. I just wanted to warn you of that double fisherman's because it is a killer knot, literally and figuratively. So it's amazing and can be amazingly deceiving. So make sure you have that tied correctly. I'll tie it for you one more time just for the sake of somebody not doing it right. Here we go. Wrap it around once, twice from the long end of the rope, not the tag. The tag is here. And then I'm gonna punch it through. There's your double fisherman, and the constriction happens on the working end. Okay? In one of my last videos, I showed you that macrame knot, Himalayan braid. I explained the knot in this way. It's used when you've got a rope that's long enough to double over and make the cliff, right? So you're able to get down with both ends of the rope. It's long enough. I was thinking too, though, you could still use it if you had a tag end. Now, I haven't tried this, but essentially you would make your Himalayan braid. Nope, you gotta be so careful with this braid, man. Make sure you get it right. Let me start it over. I'm gonna talk my way through it for you. Go around, okay? Left through, pull right. Right through, pull left. 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 Right through, pull left. Left through, pull right. Remember, you got to finish off with the last rope that you're actually going to rappel off of. So we're going to do right through, pull left. That is your Himalayan braid, and looks a little funky. It's probably because I've got the ropes kind of spread apart, but here's the idea, right? So you have this tag end that you would connect your accessory cord to and take it down with you. You're rappelling off of this side. Like I showed you in the other video, I would immediately put my figure 8 on this rope so I know for certain that this is the one I'm going down on and not the other one on accident. When you get to the bottom, you're gonna pull left and right, or actually in this case, right and left. I'll get closer to the knot so you can see what it looks like. So from the bottom, I'm pulling. And it comes down to you. I'll tie that one more time. And man, you make that last knot really tight. You want to make all the knots really tight. Go at least 8. I do at least 8. Awesome. I love that knot. All right, so what do I think is the best and safest way to rappel down and ghost an area and bring your rope back with you? Here's my opinion. I would use a notch quickie and an alpine butterfly to ghost an area, especially when you're going around an object. This works great if you've got a rope long enough to double over, or if you are just going to use a tagline to pull the rope down to yourself. So let's take a look at what that looks like. First of all, you're going to go around the object. In case you don't remember from my last video, 5'5" and alive. So at least 5 feet tall, 5 inches in diameter, and alive. In this case, right, it's a tree, so it's alive. So here's how you quickly tie an alpine butterfly. Not a video on how to tie this. It's just a very common knot, really great knot. Go around the object. And I'm good to go. Rappel down on this side. When I get to the bottom, pull it down to myself. Okay. Well, what if you don't have a rope long enough? Same literal application. Except you wouldn't make the alpine butterfly obviously in the center of the rope. Make it at the end. Another way of tying it there. And there you have it. Now you've got this end here to tie your accessory cord to. Create an overhand loop. Just follow it back through. And pull it down to yourself. So hey, that's enough talking. Let's go down. Why do I like this method so much? Because there's nothing to go wrong. You're tied in, it's not moving. So listen, I know I said this, but I can't stress it enough. When you set this up, the moment it's done, everybody clips in. That way nobody comes at the end and goes, oh, let me clip in, and clips into that one. Goes to the edge. And then it shows over. Here we go, boys and girls. Everything's double back, good. Locked carabiner, let's roll. I don't want to go off the cliff side. I don't want to go off the little tiny side. There we go. Sheer face it. Hoo-ah! Rocking, dude. So awesome. All right, let's pull this bad boy down. Came down on this. Can we get it down? Yep. Oh my gosh. Almost forgot. Brand new to the rappelling business. So let me explain what you're seeing. You're seeing the difficulty of not planning your pull route from the top. So when you do this type of ghosting technique, if you've got anything that is in the way, like a tree, which is what is just above the camera frame, it's difficult to pull a rope around a tree and then over the cliff edge because there's just too much friction. So I ended up having to go back up and reroute my pull line. You'll see that here in a minute. So you see what my problem is that I went around that tree. It's all part of the learning game, man. Fun Dad Adventures doesn't know everything. Pre-plan your pull route for your rope. Check it out. Where did we get stuck? Yup. Right there, bro. No good. All right. There it is right there. I'm going around that tree and then over the ledge. And remember, I'm also pulling the rope around the tree I'm anchored to. So there's 3 major points of friction. I need to reroute this. Let me show you how. All right, that should work. If not, I'll be coming back up. All right, here we go. Wow. All right, off we go. That's a nice hit. All right. Check out our knot. Remember this time. All right, here we go. Almost. There we go. If you had 2 people here, it'd be quick work. That's it, boys and girls. I hope you learned something cool today. And whatever you do today, remember, stay adventurous. Later.